9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Latina Diaspora. For the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this channel or watching this channel for the first time, what we do here is we discuss issues and situations pertaining to Latinos in the United States. I also have my main channel, which is called Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, where on that platform we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Also, the subscriber mode has been enabled for the first 5 minutes, meaning if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you will need to have been a subscriber for at least 5 minutes. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who've already subscribed to the channel. Whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined, I really appreciate your love and continued support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, as well as those who allow me to enter into your devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not done so already, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. Now, as you can see by the thumbnail tonight, the topic for this discussion is Bendicion. Okay, now if you're not raised in a Latino family or you don't know any Latinos, you might find it weird. Okay, basically, most people when they see their parents or their uncles, aunts, and their elders, they just say, "Hi, mom. Hi, dad. Hi, uncle so and so. How aunt so and so. Hi, grandma." We use the term Bendicion. So I'm going to discuss it and to whom do we refer it to. But before we go to the main topic, we're going to have another episode of In My Words. Now, of course, people are following the natural disasters that are happening in the state of Texas, where I think the last count, 108 people had perished because of the natural disaster. And unfortunately, there have been some people that come and talking about how good it happened to them, considering the political choices that they made as far as who should be president and local offices. With all due respect, this is not a time to be saying gotcha. This is a time, to keep these people in prayer, because there have been people who have lost loved ones. Okay, also their loved ones that maybe still be missing. So this is not the time in any way, shape, or form to gloat. Okay, this is a time of solidarity. This is a time to hold these people in prayer. And for those who have lost loved ones, pray that God brings healing to their mind and soul. Okay. It's never good feeling to lose a loved one, regardless of the circumstances. Okay. And those of you who have never experienced loss of a loved one, consider yourself very blessed and fortunate. Okay. The reality is that death will come to all of us sooner or later. Okay. So you should never rejoice in the death of anyone, no matter how wicked they are, no matter how evil they are. Okay. What you can do is lament in the fact that, excuse me, that there were people who decided to use their life to perform evil. Okay. Because there's certain people who, for whatever reason, never develop a strong moral compass. We don't know why, and many cases, well, we'll never know why. Now, there's been a lot of chatter on social media regarding carnival cruises and regarding the changes in code of conduct and things of that nature. That was the purpose of all that is to try to control the craziness that certain individual has exhibited. I will be discussing this more in detail tomorrow night when I do my stream on open discussion on my main channel. But this is the thing, and I'm going to direct this to the people who are complaining about, oh, they're being racist, oh, they're being racist, they're being racist. Maybe if you didn't decide about the peace of other people who want to enjoy their vacation after spending hundreds of dollars to do so. I mean, there is a thing called cause and effect. There's a thing called you sow what you will reap. So, there's a saying, and they talk about, oh, but they're going to go to another cruise line. Well, I got news for you. If you try to do that wretched behavior over there, another cruise line, most likely they're going to, change, the code of conduct and outlaw your wretchedness. So then, what's going to do? What you're going to do? Get on social media and complain because you decided to act like a bunch of fools. Really? I mean, unfortunately, there are some people that are very entitled. Okay. Now, I just saw this video regarding this woman. Now, she's stating that her service, her food stamps, her cash assistance, her Medicaid, her Section 8 was taken away. And she's actually talking about, well, it's the public's responsibility to take care of her and her 6 kids. Um, my question is, where are the baby daddies for these kids? Number one. Number two, I did not sign up to take care of someone else's kids that are not mine. Okay. Furthermore, among the other things, she stated that she received $950 per month in SSI for each one of her 6 kids. Folks, that's $6,650 per month. You mean to tell me getting close to $7,000 per month in SSI benefits, and you don't have any food? I think we have a case of gross financial mismanagement. Now, there was once a time where it was considered shameful to be receiving assistance from the government. Now you go and people are actually celebrating and people have doing TikToks and twerking all that. That they're having huge families with a whole bunch of baby daddies, and that we, the taxpayer, have to pay for, have to support them. And miss me with that. Miss me with that. Now, why? Who I really feel sorry for are the children of this, and I use the term loosely, lady, because it appears like she scammed the system to get thousands of dollars in SNAP, thousands of dollars in cash assistance, and then thousands of dollars in SSI. Okay. Well, you know what? I would rather work and struggle, okay, because I know that hey, no one's depend. I'm not depending on anyone to take care of me. I am depending on myself and God Almighty. Okay. So, with that being said, now we're going to go to the main topic. Before I begin, let me just state for the record, okay, that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit that link and opine regarding the topic in hand, they may do so. However, if I never see you before, if I never heard from you before, I will insist that you come up in the backstage to make sure that no one tries to flash anything inappropriately, which will cause the people of YouTube to take down the stream. Once you've been vetted and I can see that you're not a troll, and once I see you're not going to cause a disturbance, you don't have to come up on camera. That I leave to your discretion. Okay. I'm not going to be on long, maybe half an hour or 45 minutes, depending how things go. Now, I do know that, it's another busy night. Miss Elite having her live, Don Among having his live, and who else? So most of the people are probably going to catch this on the playback. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. Now, as far as the greeting Bendicion, okay, that is something that we would say to our elders, whether it be our parents, our grandparents, our uncles, aunts, even godparents. Okay, so Bendicion is Spanish for blessings. And then the person who is the recipient of the greeting um, would respond, Que Dios te bendiga, may God bless you. Okay. So let me just share this article. In many Hispanic and Latino cultures, bendición is a greeting used when entering or leaving a home, particularly when addressing elders. It signifies a request for a blessing, and the response is typically, Que Dios te bendiga, may God bless you. This practice is a sign of respect for elders and is common tradition in many families, often involving grandparents. Okay. Now, of course, when I was younger, and even younger, when I would greet my parents or my uncles and aunts or my grandparents when I was a child, or even my godparents, they will all be given the same greeting, petición, blessing. And then they will return respond, Que Dios te bendiga, may God bless you. One thing that we have to bear in mind is that when it comes to Latino culture, there is a strong Catholic influence. Even among those who are considered atheists or agnostic or not even Christian, there is a Catholic influence nevertheless. So here's a more detailed breakdown. Bendicion literally translates blessing in Spanish. It is a way to greet parents, grandparents, and other elders, showing respect and seeking their blessing. The elder typically responds with "Que Dios te bendiga," meaning "May God bless you." This tradition is deeply rooted in many Hispanic and Latino communities and can be seen as a cultural practice rather as strictly a religious one. In some families, it is a must to ask la bendición from grandparents, especially when leaving their home. Some families also extend this practice to godparents. Okay, now when it comes to my nephews and nieces, whether it be from the first generation or the second generation, or what, okay, most of them will address me, greet me with the word bendición. Even the ones that don't speak Spanish well or don't speak Spanish at all, okay, because they've been taught by their parents, my siblings, that when you enter a home and greet an elder, like your parents, your uncles, your grandparents, and even godparents, that is the appropriate way to respond. Okay. Now I remember um, one time um, when my mother was still alive. Um, One of my nephews actually said to my mother, "Hi, Grandma," and then my mother said, "Whatever happened to Bendicion?" Okay. I don't remember what happened after that. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, I would never, when my parents were alive, I would never say, "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hi, Uncle so. Hi, Dio so and so. Hi, Titi so and so." No, 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 no. That's a no no. Okay. You always address them at greeting as petición mami, petición papi, petición tío, petición tía, petición abuelo, petición abuela, and when it comes to godparents, also petición patrino, petición madrina. Okay. So we're gonna park this here. Now to our non-Spanish speaking friends, they were considered to be extremely formal. One thing that outsiders need to understand that this is a very Catholic. The Catholic influence is very strong, and we are taught to respect our elders. And of course, you don't just say petition when you enter the apartment, enter the home. You also say when you leave. Okay. Now people will say, why? It's okay. It is considered a sign of respect. Okay. Um, Now I have one niece. Believe it or not, she's like in her 50s. And I don't never recur your saying Bendicion deal to me. Okay. Now, this is the thing. I don't insist that my nephews and nieces address me that way. That I leave it to their discretion. The only thing I expect is my nephews and nieces to address me in a respectful way. Okay. So it's not okay if you're an adult and you address me by my first name, I'm not gonna have a hissy fit. I would prefer to be referred to as Dear Jose or Uncle Jose, whatever. But you know what? I'm not gonna have a hissy fit if you just refer to me to my first name, as long as you're being respectful. Okay. Now just gonna go. Just give me a moment. And one thing, now, what gets to be an interesting question is this. Let's say someone who's not Latino, and they're married. Like for example, if a black person marries a Latina, or a black woman marries a Latino, then the question is, do they have to address their in-laws the same way? You know what? I would suggest that they have a discussion. Okay. And in the discussion, just explain, the culture, the reason why we agree. Okay. We try to be very, very respectful when it comes to our elders. Now, if I was dating someone that was not Latina, let's say she was black, and let's say we were to get married, and then, well, of course, one of the questions I have to ask, if my future wife is, how should I address her parents? Okay, because in our culture we say petition, whatever. Um, I'm sure, depending on what she would say, she might say, just the same, hi mom, hi dad. I mean, and just doing it a respectful way. So it can't be a challenge to me. I mean, look, while there's similarities between the African American community and Latino community, among them the importance of family, things of that nature, there are things that makes us different. Okay, our political experiences are different. Our culture different. We have differences in our culture. Okay, um, I do know that in the African American community, it seems like the church is a very strong influence in the church. I suspect part of it has to do with some of the things they have to deal with um, living in the United States and considering all the turmoil that the African American community has experienced. Okay, so I'm just going to share one more article, and hopefully the image will load. So here comes, now here's an interesting question. Why do Puerto Ricans say petición? Well, you know what? I'm going to answer it for you. In Puerto Rican culture, the word bendición, which means blessing in Spanish, is often used as a greeting, particularly between family members, especially when younger people greet their elders. When a younger person is approaching an older person, it's customary for them to say bendición as a sign of respect and to ask for the elder's blessing. The response typically involves the elder saying, Que Dios te bendiga, God bless you, or simply offering their blessing. This practice reflects the deep-rooted cultural values regarding respect for elders, family ties, and most important, blessings in daily life. It also highlights the significance of spirituality and community in Puerto Rican society. Remember when I stated a moment ago that there's a strong Catholic influence? Um, well, that's just it shows it exhibits that. Now I'm just going to share with you some people how they respond. It is part of a parting exchange or a good night exchange. It translates to blessing and it is shortened way of asking for a blessing. It is something like a child would say to a parent, grandparent, or some dear elderly figure. It's like saying, Mom, Dad, may I have your blessing? And the other person replies by saying, Que Dios te bendiga. May God bless you. And then, for their part, more likely the child will go to sleep. And you never outgrow it. It was my nightly exchange with my grandpa when I was a kid and my mom, and I lived with my grandparents for a while. I would not say as a peer, but I would say to my grandpa and grandpa for the rest of their lives. And here's another person, tradition. It's a way to show your parents and grandparents as your grandpa. It's a way to ask your parents and grandparents for the blessing. Some people say even their uncles and aunts. Blessing or benediction is a sense meaning more of a spiritual gift than a material. So when they ask you for a blessing, they're asking you for good wishes towards them. Que Dios te bendiga or may God bless you is the normal answer to that bendición that you would normally say to your respected elders as a symbol of respect. As I stated, it is directed towards parents, grandparents, uncles and aunts, and your godparents. Now, of course, I have cyber children, and I'm not going to lie. My favorite cyber child is Denise Gonzalez. And many times she will extend that greeting of bendición towards me. Okay. Which I consider that to be a very high honor because, first of all, we're not related by blood. Okay. But I am her cyber father, nevertheless. But I never insisted that anyone that's not related to me by blood or by marriage to address me in that way. That I leave, I mean, as long as you call me Jose, I mean, I don't care either way. But the fact of the matter that she would say petition to me means a great deal. And it shows the amount of respect that she has towards me. Well, one thing that's perfectly clear, um, she was taught to have a deep respect for her elders. Okay. And considering that I have a good 25 years of senior, I would classify it as an elder. Okay. And at age 62, I'm definitely a senior citizen. Okay. So let's see. I'm just going to see one more tidbit. Now, someone's put down, it's an old-fashioned way for kids to greet the elders by asking them for their blessing. I would not call it old-fashioned. I would just call it, just acknowledging our elders. And I'm just going to share one more comment. When Puerto Rican communicate, the language they use depend on the person they are speaking with. If the other person only speaks English, Puerto Ricans who are fluent in English will converse in English. On the other hand, if the person only speaks Spanish, they will switch to Spanish. When conversing, someone is bilingual that they naturally switch back and forth to your languages as needed. Okay, this is basically has to do with speaking with someone depending on whether bilingual or monolingual. So I'm just going to, okay, here. Okay, let me just check and see if there's anyone watching on Instagram. Okay. Apparently not. Okay, no. So basically, look, as I stated, it is taught to be a respectful form of greeting to address elders. Okay. Okay. And again, it will be addressed to parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, even godparents, or it could be extended to someone that you have a great deal of respect, and that person is kind of like a parental figure. Okay. So that is why we say Bendicion. Okay. And I suspect that that's the same whether you be Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, or any member of the diaspora from any Latin American country. Okay. So with that being said, I just want to let everybody know that I will be live tomorrow night on open discussion. Now, for the benefit of those of you who do not know what open discussion is about, I will share my views regarding multiple topics, of which the audience will have an opportunity to opine. Also, if the audience have, when I mean audience, I mean people in the chat. Also, if they have a topic that they want me to discuss, I will do my best to comply. Okay. One thing I'll definitely be talking about is the people going berserk social media regarding the benefits getting cut, and the people going berserk because they can't act ratchet on a cruise line, okay, on a cruise and what have you. Plus other things that I'll be talking about. So the playback end, do your own thing. You're more than welcome to enter your comments. Just keep it respectable, because guess what, folks? Anyone try to leave disrespectful comments, they will be deleted and you will probably be blocked. So with that being said, I will be back next week with another topic that makes us unique regarding us Latinos. So I'm going to close the same way that we always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by the stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, saying good night, take care, and peace.
Be strong.